prepare your sketch pages to do your sketch assignments. So what that means is basically your sketches will not be done on white paper, but you will be altering your page in some way. So for instance, this page is a background. So I collaged this map on and some tracing paper, and then I can ultimately do a sketch on top of that surface. I'll show you an example of a completed one that already has drawing on it as well. So this one here, the map was collaged into the background, and then on top of it, a photo was collaged as well, and then the sketch on top of it was done on tracing paper and then collaged onto the surface. So I'll show you how to use some of those techniques, how to collage, and some water-based techniques. So first off, if you want to work with anything water-based, besides something like this, like if you're using something that's just a little bit wet, you can do it in your sketchbook. However, if you wanted to use the liquid watercolors and create something that's really wet, you'll actually want to get watercolor paper to do that instead. Just give a quick refresh on working with the watercolors. The liquid watercolors, one way to approach that, which can work well for a prepped sketch. I'm going to just wet the surface of the paper, and this, once again, this is actually a piece of watercolor paper. I'm going to wet that surface, and then I can use my liquid watercolors, and I can drip into there. You can also, I don't know if this one works that well, you can use the spray ones, and then if you recall, if you use salt, you can sprinkle that into your watercolor. It doesn't take a lot, it's just going to take a little bit of time, and ultimately you'll get some effects like this one where the paint gets a little bit speckled from the salt, picking up the moisture from the paint. So then you can let that dry. I'm going to show some collage techniques. So for this sketch series, if you want, you're welcome to bring in collage materials on your own that might be relevant to what you're going to draw on top of the sketch. However, you're also welcome to just use the collage materials that we have in the classroom, which you will find over by the window. What you first want to do is gather your collage materials. So I already used the paper cutter and cut up, some various pieces of magazines, some maps, and I also want to show you how to work with tissue paper, and tracing paper is also very useful as a collage material. So the other materials that you'll need for collaging are this. It's called a bone folder, and a bone folder is actually made out of bone, but it's a bookmaking tool, and you'll be able to use that to flatten your image. You want to keep this clean. If it gets dirty, wash it and make sure it's totally dry for the next person. I also find that just a regular glue stick is an effective way to collage. So I'm going to just turn to a page in my sketchbook. And I'll just take this one that I already glued something on, and just take an image that I want to collage on. So I'm just going to take this little piece and glue stick. When you're using the glue stick, you want to apply it completely, like cover the entire surface. So once I have that covered, I can place it down where I want it to go, and then use the bone folder to press that down, and that should be nice and flat. You would do the same thing. So the tracing paper is really nice for if you want to kind of mute an area. That's a really useful tool. Also, you could potentially draw on the tracing paper and then glue it on too. So that's a nice tool to use. So I'm going to use pretty much the same technique. I've got my tracing paper right here, and I'm going to cover the entire surface with glue. And be careful, it can kind of roll up on you. But hopefully it won't happen too much here. And then I'm going to take that, it's already glued, and place it on here. Now, if you're concerned about the tracing paper ripping, or particularly with tissue paper, what you can do is take a scrap piece of paper, place it on top of this, and then take our bone folder and smooth it out. Okay. And the tissue paper would work in a similar way, and this is a great option if you want something to be see-through but not entirely see-through. You'll be able to partially see through this tissue paper, such as you can see in here, like you can see more through this, but less through that. All right, and if you miss a spot, you can just get under there with the glue stick again, and then just use my bone folder to get that down. If you really want to ensure that your project ends up super flat, your paper ends up super flat, what you'll want to do is, when you're finished with this, take some scrap paper. So I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper, and there's a drawer behind me that has scrap paper. So you don't need to get fresh paper, but just get scraps. I'm going to place one piece on top of my image and one piece below the page, and then you can close up your sketchbook or not, and then take a heavy book or two and place it on top here. And you can just leave that, you can leave it overnight if you want, and you're going to end up with like a really nice smooth surface that you can complete your sketch on. So those are a few ideas. You will be receiving, or you may have already received this sheet, which has 27 more ideas of things you can do to your sketch page. Really, you can do whatever you want. But hopefully knowing how to collage and just which paper to use will be a good starting point for you. Okay, that's all.